Okay, so the sun has kind of gone down. We still got a little bit of light, so you guys can kind of see me. But we should also see what kind of flash we get out of this AR-47. So right now, we're shooting this with the bird cage, right? So we can do a comparison. So let's do the bird cage, see what kind of flash we get. I'm going to put on the Jmac now. All right, so I have fully screwed this thing in. So both pieces, the funnel and the whatever, the cylinder are fully screwed in. All right, let's see what this flash looks like. I could definitely see flash when I was shooting, and it's not like pitch dark. So what that tells me, if it gets even darker, I'm going to see even more flash. So see if it gets a little bit darker, and we'll do this again. All right, so I already had a chance to review that video, and I saw that there was plenty of flash from that Jmac, but we're going to do it again to get a little bit darker. So we're going to do it with the bird cage first. Now this is a 7.5-inch barrel. If you put either of these devices, either the bird cage or the Jmac, on let's say an 11.5-inch barrel, you might see something different. Okay, so just keep in mind this is a 7.5-inch barrel that we are testing. All right, so now we're doing the bird cage. All right, so we're taking off the bird cage, and we're going to put the Jmac on there. All right, let's try it out. 7.5 inches with the Jmac, 7.62x3.9 AR-47. All right, so I could definitely see some flash there. We'll have to do a side-by-side comparison. But yeah, I mean, there's flash there, no question. And like I said, if you shoot an 11.5-inch with 7.62x3.9, you're probably going to see something completely different. But I specifically wanted this for my 7.5-inch. Hello everyone, I got in this Jmac flash reduction device. Let me get behind the camera so you guys can see it better. Okay, so basically it has this cone here that screws into this cylinder, right? So that screws into this, and then this screws onto your muzzle, and this design is such that it's sort of supposed to trap the gases back here. And basically reduce the flash and hopefully reduce the concussion. So the reason why I wanted to get this is because this resembles one that I have from Radical Firearms called the Spitfire. Okay, And that one works really good. I can actually shoot just with the air cushions. I don't have to wear these earmuffs. And it reduces the concussion enough that it's enjoyable to shoot. So that design uses this cone design. And I haven't been able to find any other linear comp that uses the cone design. And I had, done a couple of videos where I was, saying, oh man, I wish I could find something. I wish they would make something. And one of my viewers actually said, hey, check out the Jmac. They use that cone design, and hopefully that'll give us the same results, okay? So this is very light because it looks like it's kind of big and heavy, but it's not. It weighs 6 ounces, okay? And I weighed my flash hider. This weighs 2 ounces. Now, this is going to be for my AR-47, right? I've ordered 2 of them, one for my AR-47 and one for a standard 5.56 and 7.5 inch. That one is still on order. I haven't received that yet. So I received this one first. It has the threading to fit on my AR-47. So we're gonna test this out. So the way I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna screw in the cone, right? Give you guys another look at that cone. Right, so I'm gonna screw in that cone. And that cone looks very, kind of looks similar to a baffle. So I think that's part of the reason why it hopefully will work well. So that screws in over here. Okay. Yeah, get behind the camera. So we're gonna screw this in, and I'm gonna screw this onto the muzzle. And I can see when I look on this side over here, when it's screwed in all the way, there's a tiny little gap between the end of the cone. There's a gap that lets the gases go in there. That looks like it's, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 of an inch. But interesting thing is if I screw this out a little bit, it opens up the gap a little bit more. So that might be also something interesting to test out. I could put some kind of a spacer maybe in between the outer cone and the inner cone to see what kind of results we get. By the way, I did weigh this. This weighs 6 ounces, and I also weighed the flash hider. The flash hider that I had on there weighs 2 ounces. Okay, so this is an extra 4 ounces, right? 6 ounces, 2 ounces. It's only a difference of 4 ounces. So even though it looks kind of big and bulky, it's actually, it's not as heavy as you think it would be. The one from Radical Firearms, the Spitfire, that one's a bit heavier. It is more solid, but this, lighter is better. So we'll see what this does for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on the flash hider first, and I'm going to fire a couple of shots, and then I'm going to unscrew that, and I'm going to put on this Jmac FRD and flash reduction, FRD. And we'll see how it feels to me. Hopefully, there's a big enough difference that I can put on some ear cushions, and I can tell you guys how that is. So I did remove the flash hider. I had to take out the crush washer that was in there. It was kind of stuck behind the threadings. I had to use I had to kind of clip the use a wire cutter to clip out the flash hider. So if you ever have a flash I had to clip out the crush washer. So if you ever have a crush washer that's stuck behind your threadings, just use a wire cutter and just kind of clip it out. So let's turn this up a little bit this way. Okay, we're gonna fire just 3 shots. All right, so I'm going to fire 3 rounds with just the bird cage, and we're gonna see how that sounds. I'll do it. Let me do it this way. Now, the camera isn't going to be able to pick up the high and low pitches of the sound, so you're not going to hear a difference. But hopefully, I'll hear a difference. So there's no crush washer. I did ask Jmac. I sent them an email. You can use a crush washer with this. A lot of times with like a lot of suppressors, you're not supposed to use a crush washer because it can sit a little bit like off center. But I guess this is short enough that it's not going to make a difference. Okay, let's do it again. Didn't lock back on the last one. Now, I do have a slightly heavier buffer weight in here. So this, like normally, you would put like a 3-ounce buffer weight on this. This lower I use with also like with my 5.56 7.5-inch uppers. So for those, they, basically the 5.56 tends to be a little bit more gassy. So I have a 3.8-ounce buffer weight in here. So sometimes I don't get locked back on the last round. So one of the things I was considering, because Jmac says that this supposedly increases the back pressure a little bit, and I didn't see a difference because I sometimes get a failure to lock back with the 3.8-ounce buffer weight. With the flash hider, and I just got a failure to lock back with this as well. So there's no noticeable difference in the back pressure. I couldn't hear any difference as far as the hearing. You know what? Let me get the little ear cushions. Let me do this. It's like 15 degrees right now. Let me pull back my hood. I'm gonna pull back my hood and shoot it with the earmuffs. And then maybe we'll try the ear cushions to see how that feels. Yeah, not getting locked back. And that's fine. We know why I'm not getting a lockback. We're not getting a lockback because we got a heavier buffer weight in here. But it hasn't increased the pressure enough to overcome that. So whatever increased back pressure is supposed to create, it's not much. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go get some ear cushions. Let's try the ear cushions. Let me pause the camera. Let's try that. All right, so I put the little ear cushions in. I actually had to heat them up a little bit with a hairdryer because they were like frozen solid. So this way I got a nice tight seal over there. Yeah, because otherwise they're too hard and I really can't get them in there. Well, let's try this again. Now, one of the things I noticed is if you're shooting like prone or off a bench, it actually gets, in general, it gets louder because a lot of the sound echoes back off the table. Whereas if you're standing, there's less echoing going on. So we're doing the standing right now. All right, let's see how this feels. This way. It's not terrible. I can shoot it with this. Let me try the. Let me go back to the bird cage. So this thing is $150. So the thing is, like, there has to be a significant improvement if we're gonna put this thing on for $150 instead of this thing that is way cheaper. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's about 15 degrees, and this ammunition is cold stored, so the ammunition itself is 15 degrees, and the gun is 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So the point there is that I think in the summertime it would be a tiny bit louder. just because I think I just think it might be a tiny bit louder in the summertime. All right, so just air cushions. Let's see how this feels. Yeah, it's a tiny bit louder. It is a tiny bit louder. We'll do that again. The 762 by 39 in the 7.5 inch is definitely less loud than 556. So definitely, I think a better choice than 556 as far as the concussion and the loudness. Now the other good thing to be aware of is because this thing is gassed so low, right, and it's got the heavier buffer weight in here, the bolt carrier moving back is delayed as much as possible before, so that the bullet has a chance to get out, and the noise, most of the noise goes out the front of the barrel. If you have a lighter buffer weight and the bolt carrier starts moving back faster, you get more port pop. So you get a lot of noise that actually comes out of the ejection port. So that's it. That's an important consideration as far as quieting down the gun. You want to have it gassed down as much as possible. So okay, so we're going with the flash hider again. 3 shots. Yeah, it definitely needs a lighter buffer weight. Yeah, let's do the other one now. So it being also 15 degrees is also the reason, because normally this locks back on the last round, even with the 3.8 ounce buffer weight in here. But when it's warmer. Now that it's colder, yeah, I'm definitely not getting that it's not locking back on that last round. All right, so we got this in here. Let's try this. I mean, it's a little bit better, but it's like nothing to. I am curious on one thing though. Let me do this. I am going to unscrew this just a little bit, because it's going to create a little bit more of a gap between. It's going to give a little bit more gap at the back end. So it's just unscrewed a little bit. You don't want to unscrew it a lot, because you don't want to, you don't want this thing to strike you. All right, so we just got to unscrew just a tiny little bit up front. All right, so there's no. This one over there. Yeah, it's not picking up. There we go. Yeah, the cold weather's definitely messing with the cycling here. I gotta get a lighter buffer weight in here. All right, one more round here. Yeah, no significant difference on the noise. I mean, you really gotta struggle for it to feel like it's I mean, it might be a little bit quieter, but it's really a tiny amount. I mean, I did ask Jmac if there's any noise reduction, and they said no. I mean, so it's not like they're saying that there is, and and there's not. So they did say no. They did say it would reduce the concussion a little bit. So yeah, I guess I will shoot this at night to see if there's any flash. So if you're buying this strictly for the flash reduction. I am going to try, like I said, I got a 5.56 coming in. We're going to see how that does, because the Radical Firearms Spitfire definitely gives me some noise reduction from the position of the shooter. You can see how the gases have, the fouling's built up over here. Now, it may also be because that's a 5.56, because with that Radical Firearms, actually, the interesting thing is when I had that Spitfire from Radical Firearms, when I had it on a 7.5 inch, that I did not have an adjustable gas block on, and it was like overgassed. It wasn't doing anything. It wasn't until I put an adjustable gas block on it and slowed down the bolt carrier that it seemed like to give me some noise reduction. So yeah, so like I said, we're just experimenting with this. It is $150. So you have to. We're trying to figure out, is it really better than just the flash hider? So on the noise side, no difference. We'll see on the flash side. Hey everyone, I just want to give you guys a length comparison over here. So it is about 3.25 inches compared to the flash hider, which is like 1.75 inches. So yeah, I mean, you're putting a little extra length out there and a little extra thickness. Hey, I also want to give you guys a look at what this 7.5 inch AR-47 looks like with the rail attached. Now, don't ask me what that white stripe is. That's on the handguard. Somebody actually gave me the upper. They were moving into a communist state, and they couldn't take the upper with them, so they left it with me. So yeah, let's deal with the white stripe. I don't know why it's there or what the setup was before. But it does kind of look good. I like it. I mean, the look is good. I mean, it does add an extra 4 ounces to the end, right? Because we said earlier it's 6 ounces, and the flash hider is 2 ounces. So that's a difference of 4 ounces that you're adding to the end.